Welcome everybody. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to survive your first 7 runs in Marathon, which is Bungie's newest game. We'll break down the core gameplay loops, how to navigate all the menus, how to choose your starting runner shell, how to manage your money and gear, and at the end, we'll go over the first map you play on, with tips and important locations to keep an eye on. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into anything technical, let's go over what Marathon is at its core. Marathon is an extraction shooter where every single piece of gear matters. You load into a match, and unlike other games, your main goal isn't to defeat as many other players as you can. It's to come out alive with better gear. Killing players simply gives you their loot to possibly exfil with. But what is exfil-ing? Well, throughout the game, exfil points spawn on the map. To exfil, you have to activate them, wait until they fully activate, then jump in to exit the game. Once you have, you keep everything you got in the game free to use next time you play. Just know, exfilling is just a possibility. Not all of your games will end that way. I can say firsthand that I'm only able to exfil about half of the time, if that. That may sound punishing, and it is. One small mistake and all of your gear, along with everyone in your team, is gone. You are back to square one. But that's the fun of the game. You don't stay overpowered for long, but while you are, it feels amazing. In the end, that's Marathon at its core. Before we move on to how to play the game, let's go over the menu screens, where you first begin. I like to call this main menu screen here the lobby, mainly because this is the hub for everything. You may notice the button in the bottom middle of your screen, which is the button you need to click to load into a game. At the top left of your screen, you'll find your season level highlighted in green, your rank, and the 3 types of currency in the game. Credits on the right, which you get simply by completing quests, which you can use to buy upgrades and weapons, Silk in the middle, which is used for obtaining items and cosmetics in the reward pass, which we'll get into later, and Lux, which is the classic Bungie currency that lets you buy cosmetics. Of course, you need to pay real money for this currency, so for most people, this isn't very important. On the left of your screen, you'll find 5 buttons: Loadout, Factions, Codex, Reward Pass, and Store. Clicking the Loadout button will take you to your loadout, obviously. This screen will show you your current stats to the left, and to the right, everything you have on you, like your weapon, heals, equipment, and just items in general. These are what you will take with you when you load into a game. When you click on the Factions button, 6 different factions will appear on the screen. You only start with the top left one unlocked, which is Cyberacme. Clicking on a faction will open up their screen, where you can see contracts assigned from it. One of the main goals of Marathon is to complete these contracts during your games. Doing so will award you with weapons and materials. You cannot load into a game without a contract active. Finishing contracts with the same faction will eventually level it up, which gives you new contracts and unlocks new upgrades, which you can reach by clicking on the corresponding button on the left. You can buy these upgrades with credits and materials, which will give you permanent buffs until the end of the season. Over the course of the game, you'll unlock more and more factions, which will give you more quests and, of course, more upgrades. Unlocking and upgrading different factions will allow you to buy certain weapons and items in the Armory for credits and salvage, which I'll get to later. Going back to the lobby screen, let's click on the Codex. In the Codex, there are certain goals and objectives that most of the time will reward you with absolutely nothing. Sometimes completing an objective will reward you with a cosmetic or weapon of some sort. This is where you will unlock most of your skins. The next 2 smaller buttons on the main menu are the Rewards Pass and the Store. In the Rewards Pass, you can spend Silk to buy cosmetics and items. A lot of the better and rarer skins require you to have bought the premium version of the game, which is an extra $20. In the store, you buy Lux and other things that require real money. From the main screen, you can press S to go to the bottom menus. When you do, you will be met with the shell selection screen. These are the classes of the game. Each of them have abilities that you can use in the middle of a game. A prime ability, which is the super kind of thing with a long cooldown, a tactical ability with a shorter cooldown, which is something you activate to do different things depending on the shell. There are also 2 traits, which are sometimes activated but are also at times passive. Each shell has different base stats that impact how well something works. The Destroyer is the first one. This is the tank/damage dealer of the classes. Its abilities let you deploy shields and deal more damage. The Destroyer has higher base shield, HP, and melee damage stats. Next is Vandal. This shell focuses on speed and heat generation. Its abilities give you more movement capabilities, like double jumping and a longer slide, as well as a combat ability. This shell has incredibly high agility and heat capacity stats. After that is Recon, which focuses on intel on enemies. Its abilities punish enemies for pinging you and let you see all nearby enemies through walls. Recon has very high stats in heat capacity, finisher siphon, and ping duration. Assassin relies on smoke and invisibility to catch enemies off guard. All of its abilities have something to do with smoke and invisibility. Its highest stats are agility and shields. Triage is next, which is the healer shell. Its prime ability lets you instantly revive a teammate, while the other releases a drone that continuously heals a person it's connected to. This is, in my opinion, the most important shell to have on your team. Next is Thief, which focuses on looting and movements. Some of its abilities include seeing loot through walls, flying around a drone, and a grappling hook. Now, to the right of these 6 shells is the last shell, Rook. The Rook is a solo shell. When you select this shell, you aren't risking anything from your vault. You drop in completely alone with a common pistol, and if you die, you lose absolutely nothing. But if you survive, everything you looted during the game is yours to keep and use for your other shells. Rook is, in my opinion, the best way to learn the maps, gameplay mechanics, and also the best way to grind for purple or gold gear. Through faction levels, you can upgrade what gear Rook starts with, meaning he gets more powerful over time. This shell has a couple of abilities. The first one is called Signal Mask, which makes UESC enemies simply ignore you for 30 seconds, unless you start shooting or running. This makes it great to stealth your way through an area that you know a team is at. The second one is called Recuperation, which slowly heals you over a small period of time. This ability sucks. It heals as much as the worst heal in the game, and it has a 3-minute cooldown. Only use it if you really have to. Now that we have the runner shells out of the way, let's quickly go over the 2 rightmost tabs of the screen, your vault and the armory. Your vault is a vault. There are many types of items in this game, and your vaults can hold all of them. In terms of weapons, there are pistols, shotguns, SMGs, precision rifles, assault rifles, machine guns, railguns, and sniper rifles. They can either be white, signifying standard, green, signifying enhanced, blue, meaning deluxe, purple, meaning superior, and gold, meaning prestige. They can also be red, but those are very, very rare, and you should not have to worry about that for a while. Along with weapons, you will see salvage, healing items, and equipment in your vault. On the left is your loadout. This is what you will be taking with you when you load into a game. On the top right are 2 slots to hold weapons. When you slot one in, you can notice the ammo type it uses at the bottom right, and its weapon mod slots to its left. This is where you can slot in weapon mods to upgrade the weapon. There are 4 different types of weapon mods, which all have a randomly generated ability, along with some stat buffs. Below your weapons are a lot of things. In here goes your equipment, like grenades, ammo boxes, etc. These are consumables that you use in game. To the right is your shield slot. By default, you have 1 shield, but you can have 2, 3, or 4 of them depending on the rarity of your shield. Below each the equipment and shield slot are your cores. Each class has cores that fit their own playstyle, like buffing abilities and important stats. These get better and better as the rarity goes up, and you can have up to 2 of them. Below all of those are 3 implant slots. Implants follow the same rarity system as everything else, and can be used on every shell. These simply give you universal buffs, like increased stats all the way to new passive abilities. Up next is the Armory. The Armory is a store where you can basically buy anything, from weapons to mods to healing items, for just some credits or salvage items. The more you level up your factions, the more the Armory opens up for you. On the right side, you can buy sponsored kits. These kits give you some basic weapons and items, but if you die, you only lose the money you spent to buy the kit. Every day, there will be a kit that you can keep getting for free forever. This kit makes it easy to simply start up a game with a kit and not have to worry about losing anything. Now, let's talk about how weapon rarities work. If you see a purple or gold weapon, that's great, but you need to understand why it's that color. In Marathon, the rarity of a weapon is based on the rarity of the weapon mods attached. A white weapon and a gold weapon have the exact same base stats. The color is just an average of the weapon mods inside of it. Every weapon has slots for things like universal chips, optics, magazines, and barrels. Each type has different rarities, the same as weapons. If you find a high tier weapon but don't like the weapon itself, you can actually take out the chips that make it that rarity and store it in your inventory without taking the weapon. This way you can attach it to a weapon you do like and still get the rarity bonus. But with that out of the way, let's finally move into starting games, how to play, and how to exfil. As of recording, there are 4 different maps to play on. Starting from the first map, Perimeter, the UESC enemies get progressively harder to beat, and the loot gets progressively better. I recommend starting out with Perimeter for your first couple of runs, just to get a feel for the game. Then maybe you can try out Dire Marsh or even Outpost. When you load into a game, you'll see that there's about 25 minutes left. If you're a rook, this number can range from 17 minutes all the way down to 9. You'll spawn somewhere on the outside of the map near POI. In each area, there are a different amount of POIs on the map. In Perimeter, there are 5. In Dire Marsh, there are 7. In Outpost, there's 6. During these games, your goal is to find good loot and exfil. How you get that loot varies throughout your games. Sometimes you'll find something expensive in a random loot box. Other times, it'll be through events like killing bosses. Most of the time, it'll be by defeating other teams and taking their stuff. Just remember, as long as one of your teammates are alive, they can revive you, though it does take a while. Another goal you want to achieve during your games are the faction contracts. Completing these contracts are basically the only way to level up your factions and unlock new ones. The things contracts want you to do can greatly vary, from looting med cabinets, to downing runners, to activating terminals. A lot of them require you to go to a certain location, so memorizing the basic layout of the map is one of the first things I recommend you do. When near the interaction point for one of your contracts, you'll find a yellow marker showing you where it is. As you load into a game, you'll notice a couple of things. On the bottom left is your hardware, better known as health, and above it is your firewall/shields. On the bottom right are your weapons. You can press 1 to cycle to your first weapon, 2 to cycle to your second, and 3 to equip your knife. To the left of that are your abilities, where you can see the keybind you need to click to use them, and their cooldown. The top right of your screen will show you and your allies' contracts that you need to do, and to the left of that is a compass that also tells you what area you're in. To open your inventory, press Tab, and to open your map, you can press M. In Marathon, there's a stamina system called Heat. It works exactly how you'd think stamina works. It builds up by running, sliding, meleeing, and using your abilities. There is a bar near the bottom of your screen that shows your heat buildup. You can slow down this buildup using faction upgrades. Now that we've gone over the basics of the game, let's go over Perimeter. This map is the one you'll play on in your first game. Let's cover the basics. As I said before, there are 5 POIs, which, counting clockwise, are North Relay, Station, South Relay, Overflow, and Hauler. Perimeter is cut in half horizontally by a big blue wall. There are 2 ways to cross it. The first is by a small gap in the east. The second is by going through Hauler in the west. I'd be careful though. Out of all of the POIs, I think Hauler is the most dangerous. It is the smallest area, but it's the most crowded with the UESC enemies. The loot here is also some of the best, meaning you could potentially find another team there. It is definitely a high risk, high reward place. In every map, there will be some events that you can do to get some amazing loot. In Perimeter specifically, there is the Tox Warden and the Intercept quests. Randomly during your game, you'll hear a voice say something along the lines of "Profit opportunity available," which means that an intercept quest has started. Go to the blue marker on the map, which will lead you through several steps to eventually get very good loot. Also randomly throughout the game, you'll see a red marker in Overflow on the map. This means that the Tox Warden has spawned in the area. This boss is incredibly tanky and will likely sweep your entire team if you're not prepared. I would avoid fighting it until you have green or blue weapons and EMP grenades at the least. The rewards it drops are, of course, amazing, and the best chance you have to get purple or gold items in Perimeter. The problem with these events though is that they are loud. Very loud. Both events require lots of fighting, which will attract teams of players like flies. While you're doing them, keep a watch out for teams looking to attack you and take all the loot for themselves. Now let's talk about exfilling. Around the 20-minute mark, you'll get a notification that says several exfils have come online. When you check your map, it'll show you where all of them are. Every several minutes, another one will come online. These are your tickets out. Whether you got something amazing off the bat and want to exfil within 5 minutes of starting, or there's 2 minutes left and you're desperately trying to get out, you have to activate an exfil. Do that by walking up to them and interacting with them. Doing so will make them start charging up and making a loud noise. It takes exfils about 50 seconds to fully charge. Those 50 seconds are the most dangerous part of your run. The sound of an exfil charging up can be heard from all the way across the map. The entire game suddenly knows exactly where you are. Make sure to stay out of sight until the exfil fully charges up, which you'll know from a noisy audio cue and a white circle around it, and then stand next to it. This will activate a 10-second countdown, which will take you out of the game once it hits 0. Keep in mind that it'll still exfil you while you're downed, but not when you're dead. If you did everything right, then you should be back in the menu, having successfully exfilled with a whole bunch of good stuff. You'll get money and salvage, which you can use to unlock upgrades in the faction page, along with new items and weapons, which you can use in your future runs. Before I let you guys go, let me tell you the golden rule of Marathon. The loot isn't yours until you're back in the menu screen. It doesn't matter if you found a gold weapon or purple weapon mod. If you get greedy and try to loot one more box while there's only 5 minutes left, you've already lost. The most successful players in Marathon aren't the ones with the most kills, they're the ones who know when to quit while they're still ahead. This game is brutal, it's intense, and you'll definitely get mad at it more than once. But that's what makes every successful extraction feel like a massive win. Hopefully, this guide helped you learn the ropes and will give you an edge on your first couple of games. I'll be dropping specialized guides for all the runner shells in the somewhat near future, so drop down and subscribe to see those come out. It really helps a ton, and it shows YouTube that people like to watch my videos. But with all that being said, DestinyVerse out.